You've probably scrolled past a photo like this before. A stadium, empty, weeds pushing up through the parking lot, seats that have never really been sat in, fading under a sun nobody planned for. Your brain files it under sad or wasteful and moves on. But the real reason that stadium exists is far stranger than waste. It has almost nothing to do with football, and it starts with a peacock's tail. In 2014, in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, a city called Manaus opened a stadium that cost nearly $300 million. Manaus isn't a football city. It has no major club. It's reachable mainly by boat or plane, surrounded by 1,000 miles of jungle in every direction. And yet the world built it a stadium that could hold over 40,000 people, with a roof shaped like a woven straw basket designed to look like it grew out of the forest itself. It hosted 4 World Cup matches, then almost nothing. Within a few years, parts of it were being used as a bus depot. Grass died on the pitch from lack of use. Maintenance costs kept climbing while ticket sales stayed near zero. Local journalists started calling it a white elephant, a phrase used for anything that costs a fortune to keep and gives almost nothing back. You'd expect anger. You'd expect someone to tear it down. Instead, it's still standing, still being paid for. Why would anyone keep funding something that obviously doesn't work? Here's the strange part. It was never really built to work, not in the way you think. In the 1970s, an Israeli biologist named Amatz Zahavi was trying to solve a problem that had puzzled scientists for generations. Why would a peacock carry a tail that's heavy, bright, and impossible to hide from predators? It should put the bird at a disadvantage. A feature that slows you down and makes you visible to anything hunting you sounds like a serious flaw, not a strength. But Zahavi proposed something counterintuitive. The tail wasn't a flaw, it was the message. Only a truly strong, healthy bird could afford to carry something so costly and still thrive. The burden wasn't a side effect. The burden was the entire point. He called it the handicap principle, and it changed how scientists think about display, status, and trust across the natural world. Humans, it turns out, run on the exact same instinct. Think about what a stadium like that actually communicates. Even sitting half empty in the rainforest, it tells the rest of the world, we can afford this. We can pour hundreds of millions of dollars into something with no practical return, and we'll still be standing. That message isn't really for the people of Manaus, it's for everyone else watching. Nations, like peacocks, have been performing costly, seemingly useless displays to broadcast strength for a very long time. Pyramids that serve no agricultural purpose, cathedrals that took longer to build than anyone's lifetime, space programs that, for decades, returned no profit at all. None of it was wasted. Not really. It was a signal, dressed up as infrastructure. But why does a signal need to be wasteful at all? Couldn't a country just announce that it's powerful? This is where it gets interesting. The anthropologist Joseph Henrich has spent years studying how humans decide who to trust, copy, and follow inside a group. His research suggests prestige isn't handed out for free. It's earned through costly visible signals that are hard to fake. A cheap claim is easy to lie about. A $300 million stadium in the middle of a rainforest is not. Anyone can say they're powerful. Almost no one can afford to prove it by burning money in front of the entire planet. That's what made the gesture work, even as the building itself sat empty. The waste was the proof. A useful, modest building would have made the opposite point. So if the signal worked, the job was technically done the moment the cameras left, then why keep paying for it? This is where a second, older instinct takes over. One that isn't about impressing the world anymore. It's about not admitting you were wrong. In 1985, psychologists Hal Arks and Catherine Bloomer ran a now famous study on what they called the sunk cost fallacy. People, they found, will keep pouring money and effort into something specifically because they've already invested so much into it, even when continuing makes no logical sense. Walking away doesn't just cost money going forward, it costs something psychologically. It means admitting the original decision was a mistake. So governments, like individuals, often choose ongoing loss over a single clear-eyed cut. Keeping the lights on in an empty stadium is cheaper, emotionally, than the headline that says it failed. Stop and think about how often you do this yourself. The gym membership you keep paying for, even though you haven't gone in months. The expensive degree you finished but never used in the career you actually chose. The relationship you stayed in longer than you wanted to because of how much time you'd already put in. None of that is really about the gym or the degree or the relationship. It's the same instinct Zahavi found in a peacock and Arks found in his lab. You are not immune to it. Nobody is. The habit of justifying cost with more cost is deeply embedded in how human beings think and feel. And there's a quieter, more personal version of the stadium hiding in your own life too. The wedding that costs more than a year of rent for a single afternoon. The expensive car that mostly sits in a driveway. The watch, the bag, the sneakers you bought, not because you needed them, but because of what they say about you without you having to say it out loud. You probably didn't think of it as signaling at the time. You thought of it as taste or reward or just wanting something nice. But somewhere underneath underneath that, the same ancient math was running. Cost as proof, waste as the message. Here's the twist that makes all of this land differently. The stadium in the Amazon isn't a failure of planning. It worked exactly as these instincts are built to work. It announced power to the world the moment it was finished, and it kept getting funded because stopping would mean admitting defeat in public. Both of those forces are deeply human patterns. Wearing modern concrete and steel, you're not looking at corruption or stupidity when you see that empty stadium. You're looking at a peacock's tail scaled up to the size of a nation. So the next time you see a photo of a half-empty stadium swallowed by jungle, or a sneaker collection that's never been worn, or a car that hasn't left the driveway in weeks, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. Not waste, proof that costs something on purpose. Because cheap proof was never proof at all. And somewhere in your own life, right now, there's probably a version of that stadium too. Quietly empty, quietly expensive, still standing. Because walking away from it would cost something the bank account can't measure. You've probably scrolled past a photo like this before. Now you know why it's still there.